Carl Gustav Jung was one of the great doctors of all time, and one of the great thinkers of this century. His object always was to help men and women to know themselves, so that by self-knowledge and thoughtful self-use they could lead full, rich, and happy lives. Jung's thinking has colored the world of modern psychology more than many of those with casual knowledge realize. Such familiar terms, for instance, as extrovert, introvert, and archetype are all Jungian concepts, borrowed and sometimes misused by others. But his overwhelming contribution to psychological understanding is his concept of the unconscious, not, like the unconscious of Freud, merely a sort of glory hole of repressed desires, but a world that is just as much a vital and real part of the life of an individual as the conscious, cogitating world of the ego, and infinitely wider and richer. The language and the people of the unconscious are symbols, and the means of communications, dreams. Jung emphasizes that man can achieve wholeness only through a knowledge and acceptance of the unconscious, a knowledge acquired through dreams and their symbols. Every dream is a direct, personal, and meaningful communication to the dreamer, a communication that uses the symbols common to all mankind, but uses them always in an entirely individual way, which can be interpreted only by an entirely individual key. There is no such thing as a typical Jungian analysis. There can't be, because every dream is a private and individual communication, and no two dreams use the symbols of the unconscious in the same way. So every Jungian analysis is unique. To Jungians, the dream is not a kind of standardized cryptogram that can be decoded by a glossary of symbol meanings. It is an integral, important, and personal expression of the individual unconscious. It is just as real as any other phenomenon attaching to the individual. The dreamer's individual unconscious is communicating with the dreamer alone, and is selecting symbols for its purpose that have meaning to the dreamer and to nobody else. Thus, the interpretation of dreams, whether by the analyst or by the dreamer himself, is, for the Jungian psychologist, an entirely personal and individual business, and sometimes an experimental and very lengthy one as well, that can by no means be undertaken by rule of thumb. The communications of the unconscious are of the highest importance to the dreamer, naturally so, since the unconscious is at least half of his total being, and frequently offer him advice or guidance that could be obtained from no other source.